Hi, this is Don McAllister and welcome to another Screencasts Online tip video. Pages is Apple's free word processing and page layout application, one of which we've covered many times in the past. For this week's tip video, I thought I'd revisit Pages and share some of the features that sometimes get missed. Now, there are two different modes in Pages. The first is word processing mode, and this allows you to create documents that are primarily focused on words and not images, although you can still include images. But the main goal is to accommodate the flow of the written word and allow you to type unhindered and in a linear fashion. Now, you can check which mode you're in, the other mode being page layout, but we'll come to that shortly. You can have a look at the document. You'll see here we've got options here for sections and bookmarks. This is indicative of us being in word processing mode. And also, if you go to File, you can see we can actually convert this to page layout mode if we want. But a word of warning, if you're in word processing mode and then you do convert to page layout, you will lose your body text. And that's the sort of like the main text that you might have typed in. So the best thing is really to decide initially which mode you want to be in before you create your document. Another way to check which mode you're in is to go to View and then say Show Layout. You'll see here we have a header, a footer, and this big block in the middle here is your body text, and this is where you enter your text. Let me just enter some text and I'll show you something else that happens within word processing mode. If I switch on page thumbnails, now we have a single page, but I could add pages here if I want to. But the nice thing is with word processing mode, because it is intended for you to sort of get into the flow of writing, it will actually create new pages if the text overflows. So let me just put some text into my pages document to begin with. So let's create a couple of pages of text about my favorite 1960s sci-fi program. But as I reach the bottom of this first page, if I just stop typing, and then if I carry on at this point, and then continue typing, you'll see a second page is created automatically at the end of the first page. And if we carry on even further, if we have more text than will fit on the second page, it will automatically create the third page for us. So let's just carry on. There we go. There's our third page. And then if I stop typing, you'll see that the page thumbnails in the sidebar are updated to show the 3 pages. Now, although this is primarily for text, you can add images to here as well. It's very straightforward. If I go across to Safari, I've got some images here. I can just drag an image from Google Images, drop it in. That will insert it. And there's some formatting options here as well. So if I go to Format, I've got the image selected. I can move this around. And you see by default, the text will wrap around the image. I've got it set to move with text. You can get it to stay on the page if you want, and the text wrap is automatic. If I wanted to change that for the text to wrap around the image, I can click here, and you'll see as I move this around, I can get the text to move around the image as well. And there's all sorts of spacing and text fit options here as well. If I wanted more flexibility in how to arrange objects on the page, I would probably want to go to layout mode. And I can do that quite easily if I go here and say convert to page layout. But again, you do get a warning that converting will remove the document body, including body text and inline objects. But if I go ahead for the purpose of this demo and say convert, you'll see that the body text has now gone. I could do a Command Z to get that back if I needed to, but I've intentionally gone to page layout mode. Let me just go ahead and delete that image, and we'll delete the 2 pages that were added automatically. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that there is no body text holder. So this is meant now for objects to be placed directly onto the page and for us to change the layout of those objects by drag and drop. And just also before we move on, if I go across to document, you'll see now that we've also lost the section and the bookmarks option. And if I go to File, we could actually change this to back to word processing, but we wouldn't get our text back. So you do really need to make the decision before you start as to what mode you want to be in when you create your document. So to add text to our page, I can just click on the text box here, and we have this text box that I can enter text into. Let me go ahead and just enter some text. And then if I wanted some additional text, just create another text box. Again, move this around independently. You'll notice you have guidelines, so you can line things up quite accurately. Let's have that one there. Let's have a third text box. We'll drag that down to the bottom, again in line with this one. If I go back across to Safari, I can go ahead and drag images across. So we'll drag an image there. Okay, and I can resize the image, move it around. Let's put one more image in. So the one we had before, this one here, drag that. Pop that down. Again, I can move it around. You'll see that things don't wrap around at the moment. We handle text slightly differently here, but let me just make that smaller. There we go. So 3 different text boxes. Now, if I put text in here as well, and we'll just leave that as empty, I can actually connect these if I want to have text that flows from this box to this box to this box. The way you would do that is to click on the symbol at the top. You'll see it's currently green. If I click on there, it says 1, and there's an arrow. If I click on this one, it's currently orange or red. If I click there, well, it's more of a pink, isn't it? If I want to connect this to the first one, to the green box, I just click on this arrow here, and I can see here this is the green box. So if I click on there, so now this is some text that was in this box has actually joined this box here. And if I go into here and hit return a couple of times, you'll see that's now moving into the second text box. If I go to this one here, right, it's going to default to the green thread. So there we go. So now I can click on here, hit return. You'll see it actually goes down. I'm back up again. Okay, let me go ahead and I'll put the same text that I put in before. You'll see it fills in the first box, the second box, and then the third box. Now, because there was actually 2 pages worth of text, we just see this little square at the bottom showing me that there is some hidden text within this text box. Now, it hasn't automatically created a second page. We need to do that manually. So if I just go up here and say add page, but again, we can't see the additional text. Basically, what we have to do is to add another text box. Let me just go back to the first page. So if I just move this up, I can expand this a little bit so I can see some of the additional text. But again, if we want to create another text box on here, just say text, click on here, and there we go. And I can make this bigger or smaller, reformat it exactly as I want, and see the rest of the text here. But again, if this was to expand to another page, I'd have to create another page manually and add an additional text box. Now you can also remove a box from a thread. So if I say remove from thread, right, this is now an independent text box, or I can just add it back in again. Another really useful option within Pages is the ability to use things called styles. And this allows you to apply consistent formatting across text, and you can also create your own customized styles as well. So let me just show you how to do this. We'll change the body style. So this is our body text that we've got in these linked text boxes. Let's say I wanted to change this to a different font. So if I select this first paragraph, go to Format, you'll see it selected its body style. Let's change the format to something else. Let's say Noteworthy. Now, as you can see, it's changed the style of the text that I had selected, but it hasn't changed the other body text style. To do that, what you have to do is to say Update, and you'll see the Update all paragraphs that use this style. Now, all of my text, all my body text is changed to this particular style. Let's say that you perhaps didn't want to have, you wanted to keep the original body style, but perhaps have a customized body style. Let's go ahead and do a similar process. We'll select some text. We will change the font of this text to, let's say, Baskerville. Okay. Now, rather than change the body style by updating, what we can do is click on this box here, hit the plus, and let's call this new body. Okay, and now you'll see that this paragraph here has got the new font. This has got the original font. So if I wanted to change this text here to have this font, I would just go to New Body, and there we go. Now this is done on a paragraph by paragraph basis. So you'll see there's lots of different styles here, titles, subheadings, headings, etc. Actually, a quick tip, if you want to create a shortcut, if you click on here and say shortcut, let's say we wanted it to be F8. So now if I go across and select a paragraph, say this paragraph here, and I want this to be the new body style, if I hit the F8 key, you'll see that sets it to the new body style with a simple keystroke. You're probably familiar with the template chooser that I think is switched on by default within Pages. I'll show you how to change that shortly. But basically, this gives you an option to access predefined templates so that if you want to create a document, let's say this classic newsletter, I can go ahead, use this as a template. I can go ahead and change the title. I've got some placeholders here for images, so I can go ahead. I can go back across to Safari. Let's see, this is going to be my monthly Fireball XL5 newsletter. So let's go ahead and just grab that one, drop that in there. Okay, so it's always going to use this particular image. I've got linked text boxes in here as well, so I could go in and change my headings, etc., or paste some text in. But let's say I wanted to use this as a template for future Fireball XL5 newsletters. What I would do is say File, and then Save as Template. Now, I can either add this to the template chooser, or I can save it as a separate template file within the Finder. But I'm just going to go ahead, and actually that's quite useful if you want to give a copy of this template away to somebody. You can create a file and send it to them. But I'm just going to go ahead and say Add to Template Chooser. I'm going to call this Fireball XL5, and then Create. Okay, so now, if I want to, let's delete that option there. So File, New. So I've got my recents here, or if I go down, under my templates, we should find, there we go, there's the Fireball XL5 template. So I can select that, I can double click to open it, and I can update it. Now let's say I was really only ever doing this if I wanted to have this as my default template for every time I opened up Pages. What I could do is go to Pages, Settings. Rather than show template chooser, for any new documents, I'm going to use a particular template, change the template, select Fireball XL5, say choose. We can now close that down, close that down. Now if I say File, New, you'll see straight away it opens up with a brand new document based on my Fireball XL5 template. So I can go away, customize, and save or publish. Okay, so that's just a couple of tips on using Pages. Sometimes it's more accessible to get them in these shorter formats rather than a full video, so we might do some more of these in the future for other Apple applications. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. We'll be back later in the week with a full Screencast Online tutorial, so we'll speak to you then.